Good evening. Welcome to Newswatch. I'm Noah Cavan.
And I'm Courtney Smith.
President Donald Trump just announced a ceasefire between Iran and Israel.
The ceasefire will be phased over the next 24 hours, with it being officially starting in the next 6 hours.
Trump says he hopes the ceasefire will become permanent. This comes after Iran fired retaliatory missiles at the U.S. Air Embassy in Qatar earlier today in response to the U.S. bombing 3 nuclear sites in Iran over the weekend. Now, a lot going on in the world, but it's getting hot outside, and for that we have lead forecaster Steve Nedlick.
Yeah, guys, it was another hot one today. We got into the mid to upper 90s, and that's not even taking into account the real field temperatures out there. Now, it's not just us here in Athens. It's all over, especially southern Ohio. That's where we're seeing these heat indexes of 105 to 110 degrees. So it has definitely been a hot one out there today. Now, again, the big reason we've been dealing with all these soaring temperatures is this heat dome that's set up over our region, and it hasn't really moved much since it got here the other day. It's been 3-4 days now of increasing temperatures, and tomorrow looks to be where we start to peak the most in terms of temperature. Tonight, not much relief. A pretty warm one, 73 degrees, and that's really not what we're used to this time of year. We're used to 65, 60. So it'll be a pretty warm one. Make sure you keep your windows closed and keep a fan on because it might not be a comfortable night. Looking into tomorrow, again, it could be the warmest one of this heat wave, topping out at 96, 97 degrees, and that's again without all the heat and humidity. So tomorrow we could again see those heat indexes 105 to 110, and we will still be under those heat advisories and heat warnings. And now as we head into a little bit looking out into the middle of the week, rain chances do return about Wednesday, Thursday, but nothing really crazy until about the weekend. More clouds are going to move in, so hopefully that'll start to decrease our temperatures as we move on into the week. But then this heat is going to stick around, so we're really not going to get much relief until probably the end of the work week. But stay tuned for my full forecast where I get into the details of what the work week looked like.
Thank you, Steve. Oil prices plunged more than 7% today.
The market was expressing relief from that Iran's response to the U.S. military strikes were far more limited and symbolic than feared. Oil prices started tumbling today after Iranian missiles launched toward a U.S. base in Qatar were intercepted. That's more than 7% drop, represents than one-day decline since April.
The steep sell-off wiped out an initial spike last night. With just days left before Senate Bill 1 takes effect, Ohio University announces more changes to its student centers. In a statement released today, University President Lori Stewart-Gonzalez said the university's Division of Diversity will be transitioning into different student centers to abide by SB 1's requirements. SB 1 bans diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, initiatives in colleges and universities in Ohio. Back in April, the university announced it would be closing the Multicultural Center, Women's Center, and Pride Center. Those centers will now be turned into student study spaces for the 25-26 school year until the university finds a more permanent resolution. Opponents of Senate Bill 1 are just days away from submitting their petitions to repeal the law. Volunteers have been collecting signatures since April to put SB 1 on the ballot. They will need to turn in their petitions to the Secretary of State's office Thursday. Volunteers need about 250,000 valid signatures to stop SB 1 from taking effect Friday. If they don't get enough, they will have 10 days to make up the difference. If they do, SB 1 will be paused and put on a ballot initiative where voters can decide if they want to repeal it come November.
A former star Ohio State University football offensive lineman is accused of a felony in a fatal car accident. Authorities say Kirk Barton was driving a pickup truck that crashed into another car early Saturday morning in Dublin, Ohio. City officials say that 24-year-old driver of that car, Ethan Perry, died at the scene. Authorities say Barton was driving above the speed limit at that time. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the crash. Barton appeared in court today with the offense categorized as aggravated vehicular homicide. An Ohio lawmaker is proposing a resolution to increase the amount of seats in the Ohio legislature. Senate Joint Resolution 1 would increase the amount of districts in the Senate from 33 to 51. Districts in the House from 99 to 153. The resolution sponsor says having smaller districts would decrease the influence of money in politics. To change Ohio's districts, voters would have to amend the state constitution. If the initiative makes it to the November 2026 ballot, new districts would be drawn in 2032.
The Senate is expected to hold a test vote this week on President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. It is unclear if the U.S. military attack on Iran will change those plans. The domestic policy bill would extend Trump's tax cuts he signed into law during his first term and provide more money for defense and border security. But the spending plan would also make deep cuts in federal spending and some changes to Medicaid. The Senate is expected to debate the bill once it comes to the floor, which could happen by the middle of this week. A magistrate judge in Tennessee says a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador during the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration should be set free while he awaits his criminal trial. The judge said yesterday prosecutors failed to make a convincing case that Kilmar Abrego Garcia should remain behind bars. She said the government failed to prove Abrego Garcia was a flight risk, might harm a minor, or might obstruct justice. The government accused him of smuggling undocumented immigrants across state lines. Abrego Garcia denies the charges. His wife spoke at a rally in New York, saying his fight is not over.
He is free now, but we are not done, because this is bigger than one man, one family, or one moment.
The Justice Department already has appealed to the judge's decision. Despite the judge's ruling, immigration authorities will likely still arrest and detain him separate from his criminal case.
Firefighters from throughout Southeast Ohio gathered Saturday to break the stigma around mental health, one first responder at a time. The Firefighter Safety Stand-Down event in Athens encouraged guests to share stories of strength and support while offering resources and community for local firefighters. Events like this are held annually across the country to educate firefighters on how to best take care of themselves on and off the job. This year's emphasis was on the importance of mental health. Event organizer and fellow fighter Julie Phelps says events like this are the first step to breaking the stigma firefighters face when seeking mental health resources.
The change in the culture is slow to come, but it's coming on, and I think raising this awareness and starting the talking is going to not only stop that stigma, but it's also going to help make those spark those changes in departments and communities.
First responders and community members can learn more and find mental health resources at safetystandown.org. Coming up, some medications don't mix with heat and can have negative side effects. What experts say you need to look out for amid this week's heat wave.
And insurance companies are set to make the pre-approval process easier. How their plan could cut down your wait times.
The heat is still here. Find out when we get a break next.
The Ohio Art Corridor is a destination experience. We would like this to be the largest outdoor art gallery in the world.
Portsmouth was able to field an incredible team for a brief moment in the sun that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship.
We got land granted to us in Ohio. Great opportunity. Let's go. How would you know you got here? It was just sheer determination and patience and just hard, back-breaking work.
The bridge was acclaimed at the time of being an engineering marvel.
Progress is all about taking the lessons of the past and doing better. So I would hope that now that we know better, we will do better.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
We're still in the middle of this heat wave here in southern Ohio. We're looking at 95 degrees right now with a heat index over 100 degrees, and that's because of this really high dew point. It's bumping up these real field temperatures and making it feel a lot hotter than just the air temperature. Now again, all over southern Ohio, we're seeing these soaring temperatures, 94 in Athens, 91 in Zanesville. You know, it's all over the place. It's not really just contained to one specific area. Now, in Columbus, around those areas, they're under heat advisory still. And you might be thinking, well, in Athens, we don't really have anything right now. Actually, we have an extreme heat warning that is just not popping up on the map right now. So we have it worse than anywhere else in the state. So we really need to be careful if we're heading out the door tonight. Even if it's after sundown, it could still be a really warm one out there. And it's really not just contained to Ohio either. We're seeing this heat all the way from Chicago all the way to the East Coast. So it's not just compact into Ohio or the surrounding states. Now, almost an identical map is the heat index map. We're all seeing these real field temperatures really get bumped up by some of this moisture that's being pulled up from the south, and that's what's driving up these real field temperatures. Now, you might be thinking, when are we finally going to get a break from this? Well, the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we're still looking a little bit above average, but nothing like this. Once we get past this next week or so, it's going to start to tick down a little bit and start to become a little bit more like pleasant summer weather. Now, again, even with these temperatures that are going to start to drop a little bit, we really don't have any moisture in the area. There's no rain that's really around, and that was what was helping keep some of our temperatures down the past few days. When we got all that rain last week, when that water would evaporate from the ground, it would help cool off the air. Well, now it's pretty bone dry out there, so now when the sun gets way overhead, it's just beating down and it's heating up our surface extremely fast. Looking into tonight, not much of a relief even with the lack of clouds, again, because of all that surface heating. But even if it is a warm one, you can go outside tonight and see some fireflies because they love this warm, humid air. So that's something to definitely look forward to, even if it is a little warm out there. Tomorrow might be the warmest day that we're going to get from this heat dome. 96 as a high, and it's, again, 73 is the low, really not getting much relief there. And again, mostly sunny. Now, this is where our relief is going to come from. It's going to come from up north and slowly start to move through tomorrow. It's going to start entering our region, but we're not going to see much relief until about Wednesday, and that's when we start to see some rain chances pump back into our area, but it's not going to be very widespread. We could get lucky and have a few drops of rain that will help cool our air off, but as of right now, we're not sure if we're going to get that or not. But then if we look into Thursday and Friday and the rest of the 7-day outlook, that's when we start to see those widespread rain chances move into our area. Friday, Saturday, 50%, 70% on Saturday. And we start to see a little bit of a decline. 91 sounds a whole lot better than 97, 98. So we do kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel.
So, Steve, I know that 4th of July is coming up, so do you think that we will be burning up at our cookouts?
Well, I don't think it's going to be anything like this. And as of right now, if you take a look at the 2-week outlook, it says we should be about average for this time of year. So 85 degrees sounds, again, a whole lot nicer than these 100-degree temperatures.
And looking at that heat index map, you can see that pretty much the entire region of Appalachia is currently under this severe heat index. You know, why is that?
It's all that moisture being pulled up from this high pressure that's just pulling the moisture up from the south. It's that humidity being pulled up.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, like you said, the hottest temperatures of the year so far will hit the eastern United States this week. The National Weather Service says people from the Midwest to the East Coast will face a level 4 of 4 extreme heat risk through at least Thursday. High temperatures across the plains, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast are expected to hit at least 15 degrees above normal, rising well into the 90s early this week. Records could be matched or broken in many U.S. cities. As the summer temperatures continue to rise, so does dangers of heat-related illnesses, and commonly prescribed medications can make your body even more susceptible to the sun. Mandy Gaither has more on which medications don't mix well with heat.
High temperatures, heat, and humidity can all affect the body, but some medications can pose an added danger.
People are doing their errands, they're overheated, they don't feel well, and they can get really heat exhausted pretty quickly. Meds can have a significant impact.
The CDC says some medications interfere with the body's ability to regulate temperature, making it harder to cool down and increases sun sensitivity to the skin. Some medicine can also make a person more vulnerable to the heat by affecting the body's hydration, says Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic.
In some cases, if you're not hydrating, in certain meds can make you feel lightheaded and dizzy and nauseated. So it's really important to stay hydrated.
The CDC says medications that don't mix well with the heat include anticholinergics, some antidepressants and antipsychotics, antihistamines, beta blockers, diuretics, antibiotics, and antifungals. The heat can also degrade or damage some medications, including insulin, inhalers, and EpiPens. Bracamonte says to make sure they're being stored properly.
You don't want to leave any medications in the heat.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dozens of health insurance companies have committed to making it easier for patients to get appropriate care. According to a news release, participating insurers will take action to streamline the pre-approval process known as prior authorization. The participating companies have promised to work toward a common electronic prior authorization process, which they say will help speed the decision timeline and provide clear explanations of their determinations. Also, the insurers have agreed to reduce the scope of claims subject to pre-approval, as well as ensure that plans honor existing prior authorizations for 90 days for patients who change carriers. The goal is for the new framework to be in place by the start of 2027.
Next, experts are expressing concern over artificial intelligence ability on entry-level jobs, how universities and industries are adapting to the changing job market.
Up against one of the most powerful companies on the planet, a group of Amazon workers fight to unionize.
We got to continue to fight because this company has not been held accountable.
Witness a gripping battle for power and dignity in today's global economy.
This is our shot to make things better.
Union on POV.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
As a Jewish woman living in her native Germany,
she was there, she was living there.
Hannah Arendt escaped the Nazis and arrived in America where she became a leading political philosopher. Her focus, totalitarianism.
No one could ignore it. It's too important.
She'd seen it in Germany, and she could see how fascism could happen in the future.
Tyranny could arise out of the executive office.
Look for Hannah Arendt Facing Tyranny.
The Banality of Evil.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Can you feel the moment?
The American Revolution changed the world.
Where the story unfolds.
Everybody had the sense of possibility worth fighting for.
What took place here still leaves us in awe.
We can work towards equality together.
Wow, this is the missing piece. Incredible.
To confront these figures from ancient history is a great privilege.
Our history tells us who we are, where we came from.
And it's all connected.
Like links in a chain.
Like links in a chain, yeah.
All I can do is say thank you.
Wow, this is phenomenal.
I'm really grateful for this.
Kroger plans to close roughly 60 stores nationwide over the next year and a half. The grocery store chain made the announcement in its first quarter earnings report, which was released on Friday. The report stated Kroger expected to see a modest financial benefit as a result of the closures. The report did not say which stores will be closing. Kroger says employees at the affected stores will be offered positions at other stores. As artificial intelligence progresses, some worry it could threaten entry-level jobs. A few of Silicon Valley's top leaders have warned AI is coming for people's jobs and fast. Reporter Michael Yoshida has more with what you should know if you're worried AI might be coming for your job.
The CEO of one of the world's leading artificial intelligence labs recently warned that this new technology could cause mass unemployment, potentially eliminating half of entry-level white-collar jobs. So we spoke with education and business leaders about how they're adapting to this new work landscape. As the artificial intelligence boom continues to accelerate, some industry insiders, including the CEO of one of the world's leading artificial intelligence labs, are ringing the warning bell.
Compared to previous technology changes, I'm a little bit more worried about the labor impact simply because it's happening so fast that yes, people will adapt, but they may not adapt fast enough.
Experts are split on just how quickly and drastically AI will upend the job market. Still, impacts are being felt.
Entry-level jobs, that first rung on the career ladder, are breaking down a bit.
LinkedIn's Anish Raman says it's one of the most challenging job markets for young people in decades.
The knowledge economy that we have been in for the last half century, it's on the way out.
If you're worried AI is coming for your job, Raman says focus on non-technical skills, what he calls the 5 C's: curiosity, compassion, courage, creativity, and communication. Also, figure out and hone in on what makes you unique. That's your edge. And remember, learning doesn't stop when you graduate. Keep building your knowledge base and understanding of new technologies.
Our data at LinkedIn shows that 70% of the average skills for the average job will have changed by 2030.
Educators are embracing these changes too. The dean of Tulane's business school saying its curriculum is expanding to fit this new business environment.
The education is going to be more experiential. They are going to apply the AI techniques in a new way of putting together business processes.
And the dean also added that human capabilities, those things such as critical thinking, also teamwork, those will be vital as well, and something that people should focus on both in their education as well as once they're already in the workforce. Reporting in Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida.
A new survey from the Bankrate says 45% of Americans think they would need to make $100,000 or more a year to feel comfortable. A quarter of Americans say that it would take $150,000 or more. On the flip side, 45% of Americans said they would feel financial freedom making less than 6 figures. 34% said they would feel comfortable making at least $50,000. Overall, 77% of Americans said they did not feel completely financially secure, and 32% said they didn't think they would. 4th of July is just around the corner, and many are planning their backyard barbecues. Consumers may be surprised to see tariffs haven't affected food prices. A Wells Fargo report says 4th of July barbecue for 10 people with the traditional offerings will cost roughly $130 this year. That's up 2.2% from last year, but many Americans may not notice anything too unusual. It is relatively normal price increase following 5 years of pandemic-fueled inflation. Tariffs don't appear to have impacted 4th of July food prices yet, but most of the menu items are produced domestically. Schools are out for the summer, and while it means fun in the sun for kids, it can also be expensive for parents as they juggle childcare needs. Data shows that costs skyrocket for parents during the summer. Jen Sullivan looks at how much parents spend and ways to help you save.
Year-round childcare costs in the last 5 years have gone up 29%, according to a recent survey from Childcare Aware of America. Last year, the average price of childcare was more than $13,000.
Parents are having to juggle their kids being out of school. And now they're not in just after school care. They're needing care all day long.
And summers can be particularly expensive for parents. Beth Klung-Piable works at Savings.com. She's also a mom and knows firsthand how challenging the summer months can be.
It takes a lot of planning, and if you can do that in advance, then it's really helpful.
Savings.com recently conducted a survey and found childcare costs increase over 300% in the summer months for a typical family.
These parents told us that they set aside all year long, so a little bit out of every check goes toward those increased expenses in the summer.
There are a few ways parents can save. Lean on family and friends for help. Many camps offer scholarships. Most public libraries offer free drop-off programs. And check out the programs at your local YMCA. And if you're looking for free activities, most public parks have free splash pads, and some museums offer free days.
kind of plan around, these are the free events that we're going to load our summer up with, and we're going to have a great time, but it's not going to break the bank.
And if you're looking to do a family trip, Klung Piable says hotels and airfare tend to be cheaper towards the end of August. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Still ahead. Are you looking for your new favorite restaurant? Well, you may have to travel to visit 2025's Best Restaurant of the Year. Stay tuned to find out which restaurant earned this year's top spot.
Deceased is a 28-year-old female.
Cause of death? She drowned.
I'd have to be allowed to question your ideas, Patience.
I'm just really scared of letting him down.
Your dad?
You think it's a homicide?
She may have been involved in trafficking.
Don't you have any friends?
Well, I find animals much nicer than people.
We had him.
Who makes the whole thing work?
Sunday at 8 on WOUB.
Craving adventure? Passport is your ticket to the hottest destinations in drama. Check into luxurious hotels. Hit exclusive beaches. But fair warning, travel plans can sometimes get complicated. If you've got the itch for drama, travel the world and stream now with Passport on the PBS app.
Welcome to the age of humans.
Supermarkets act as gatekeepers.
Everybody goes to the market. Everybody has their ideas about what they want.
Convenience and low price. We care about that more than just about everything.
Before refrigeration, you don't get supermarkets. It's that simple.
They're unlike anything in our species' history. This is the human footprint of the grocery store.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Compassionate, selfless, and starved for support.
Everybody needs care at some point.
These hidden heroes struggle to serve the needs of friends and loved ones.
These are heroic people that are caregivers, period.
The fight to create a new culture of care.
Caregiving is a source of pride, a source of sadness, and oftentimes joy.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
These newly released images of space are from the largest camera ever built. They're from Vera C. Rubin Observatory, based on the top of a Chilean mountaintop. The test images offer an unprecedented look at light from millions of stars and galaxies. They come from about 10 hours of observation. Rubin's website says its mission is to create a time-lapse record of the universe over a period of 10 years.
If you're looking to impress your date with where to eat for dinner, you may want to head to Lima, Peru. That's where Mito is located, and it just took the top spot in this year's World's 50 Best Restaurants survey, as determined by the World's 50 Best Restaurants Academy. The group says Mito serves Nikkei cuisine, which blends Japanese techniques with Peruvian ingredients. It made the jump from 5th on the list last year to this year's 1st. Asador Echevarri in Spain landed in the runner-up slot, while Mexico City's Quintonil was in 3rd place. The only restaurant in the U.S. to get a nod in the top 50 was Atomics in New York City, ranking number 12. Now guys, I don't know about y'all, but restaurants are awesome. Love them. What's your favorite restaurant in the area that you've been to?
You know, I'm a sucker for anything with a good burger, so I'm not really particular.
You know, I love a good Sonic, so yeah.
Big fan of Eclipse. Eclipse is great. It could be great with this hot weather coming around.
It could, especially with this hot weather that's going to be sticking around through the middle of the week. So 73 tonight with mostly clear skies. But then if we look into the rest of the week and how this plays out, some rain into the forecast, but really nothing widespread until about Friday or Saturday. So if you want to eat outside, the middle of this week is the week to do that. But we'll be looking at these temperatures through the rest of the week.
All right, thank you, Steve. That's going to do it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Steve Nedlick, I'm Noah Cabot.
And I'm Courtney Smith. Stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.